Most people are not burning out. They are biologically declining. And because it happens slowly, they adapt to it instead of fixing it. What the medical industry focuses on is increasing lifespan, and they'll keep people alive for longer, but not living for longer. And
yeah, that's horrible.
And that's where things have gone. Like, we've increased average age expectancy, but disease span has gotten longer because we're basically managing people's diseases.
So I don't want to live forever, but I want to be capable. Okay. I want to be capable for a long period of time. So it's not wellness, it's healthiness. Like I said, I want to be at the top of my game for as long as I can.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Longevity Masters. I'm your host, Grant Hutchby, and as you know, this show is for founders, owners, executives, and high-performing operators who want to stay sharp, strong, and useful for longer. We don't talk about wellness, we don't talk about motivation, we talk about systems, data, biology, and execution. Because the truth is simple. Most people are not burning out, they are biologically declining. And because it happens slowly, they adapt to it instead of fixing it. Today's conversation is a really important one. This is the very first female guest that we've had on Longevity Masters, and that matters because longevity cannot be a male-only conversation. It cannot be built only around extreme routines, meat-heavy diets, complicated supplement stacks, and perfect schedules. Real longevity has to work in real life. Today, I'm joined by Ally. Ally is a founder, operator, and the woman behind Xorro. It's a whole biological system that she's developed, and I'm really excited to have her on the show. It's supported product design to make daily supplementation a lot simpler than it needs to be. It's been made a lot complicated in the past, and we're here to simplify it. But this is not an episode about supplements. It's about Ally's journey, why she became interested in longevity, what she learned about her own biology, and what she saw was broken in the supplement market, and why consistency beats complexity. We'll also get into something important, that supplements can amplify a well-functioning system. They cannot fix a broken one. Sleep, energy recovery, stress, regulation, training, and timing all come first, and everything else sits on top of that. So, Ally, welcome to Longevity Masters. To start and kick this off, give people just a short version of who you are, what you do, and how you ended up in this world.
Well, first of all, thank you very much, Grant, for inviting me on. It's a pleasure to be here to talk about something that I'm very passionate about. So as Grant said, my name's Ally. I'm a COO of a product design company and also a manufacturing company. So I've been doing that for 18 years now. I'm 54 years old, and now I feel like I'm at the top of my life. I feel like I'm the best as I could be at what I do. So I started life as an engineer. I'm a qualified engineer, graduated from Brunel years ago, ran a few companies of my own. And then I started working, met a chap called Austin, and I started working for him for a company called Freeform Design and Iconics. And now we work together, designing and manufacturing all sorts of things, typically medical products, FDA registered ones. So all very complicated systems. So my longevity journey started years ago. I've always been a really healthy eater. I've been one of those quite annoying people that is really organised and eats healthily. And I know that's not what everyone wants to hear, but it is an important part of who I am. You know, I think that you have to eat healthily and you have to exercise. But as a kid, my parents used to give me vitamins. I don't know if you got that, Grant. Did you ever get like strange, random vitamins? I used to get little orange pills given to me as a sort of a vitamin C.
I got like dissolvable ones, and chewy vitamins and things like that you could get as a kid.
Yeah, they used to taste nice and everything, but I honestly never thought much of them. I honestly thought it was a load of rubbish, and probably, not being funny, it probably was, because they were just tiny little elements that were put into my life to make me to up my vitamin C or my multivitamins. So when I grew up, I never thought much of supplements. I never thought that there was really that much in it. It was a load of hooey. But I did think, as I said, I ate healthily. I've always cooked my own food. I cooked from scratch, and I always thought you could get everything from food and good eating. And it wasn't really until, my mum used to call me the worried well. So I would always be like, okay, she'd say, "Oh, you're really healthy." I'm like, "I know, but I'd like to feel better. Like if I'm tired, I want to not be tired. If I'm hungover, I don't want to be hungover." And my partner Austin, he's an engineer too, clever chap. He designs all sorts of products and complex systems. And years ago, we came across something called taurine in the press. Did you come and see that? There was a thing about it probably 3 or 4 years ago, where taurine was it was in the New Scientist about how amazing it is as a supplement. So Austin started looking at it, and as a way to investigate it, he's the systems engineer himself. He started looking at supplements, and that was really our journey into it.
Okay, cool. Anything else that you'd like to add?
Well, in doing that, it sort of started with taurine. But, one of the things that came up from that is that you can't just look at one thing in life. It's not just one element of a system. So it's the same with supplements. If you look at the supplement world at the moment, or even then, 3 years ago, it was all about one ingredient. Maybe it was taurine, one ingredient, maybe creatine, and that was all very interesting. But it's not about one ingredient. It's about a system. It's about how everything works together. And there's a great analogy in the engineering world. And you talk about combustion engine. You don't just put fuel in a combustion engine and hope it works. It's not about the fuel. It's about cooling. It's about heat management, friction, lubrication. And human biology is the same. It's not one thing. It's a system. So that's how we started to come up with Xorro. We looked at all the different elements that needed to be part of what this foundation is, knowing it needs to be in meaningful doses, knowing it needs to be biologically available, and also in one easy to take solution. So instead of people asking, it's interesting because I know you do a lot about this. You know a lot about the different systems, the different components. But, glycine works with magnesium. We can't just take magnesium on its own or glycine on its own. The two work really well together. Taurine, so all these ingredients need to work together to form this foundation. And once you've got this foundation, it's the next step up from good exercise, good health, good sleep. Supplements are, we believe, important. You can't get everything from food.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So when would you say that you started thinking about longevity and how you're aging? How long ago was that, and what made you sort of start thinking about that side of it?
Well, it's funny. So I don't think I had an epiphany. I didn't suddenly get ill, or and as a woman, I didn't suddenly feel the menopause coming. I didn't have any of that. But what I was really aware of, and it's something that my father said to me years ago, is that wherever he was wherever he was in life, it was the best he was. So he would look back at his youth and say, "Yeah, it was fine." But he was the best now. He was the wisest, the cleverest, the funniest, the most capable at that time. And I definitely felt that. So we started Xorro, say 3 years ago, but certainly maybe 5 years ago, I wanted to make sure I was doing everything I could. Not that I was feeling bad. It's just I wanted to feel brilliant, and I didn't want it to end. The human body is a funny thing, though, because we are designed definitely to age. So our biology is set up to be... as we come from a baby and we grow into adulthood, all that growth spurt, all the positive side of things takes us to a place where we procreate. And then we have our babies, and then our biology doesn't support us anymore because it doesn't need to. We have procreated. So we definitely age. Substances in our body decline, our ability to do certain things decline. And I didn't want that decline. I mean, I don't think anybody does, but I really didn't want to have that decline. So anything I did to slow that slope, I was happy to look at.
Yeah, what I find really interesting is, sometimes people go through, like you said, you didn't have any massive event that made you want to focus on your longevity. You've generally eaten healthy throughout your life. You've been fit and healthy. You didn't feel massively bad. You just wanted to have that next level and not decline. And do you know what? I think there's more people in that situation than there is in a situation where something catastrophic has happened to them. My story is fairly similar in that, I've always been into the gym. I've always had, parents that supported eating healthy, eating whole foods. And, we're probably talking to a mass market of people that operate at this level, but could be operating at this level, but don't know how. Yes. Right?
And wouldn't you want to? Like, if you just had that in there, you'd want to do that, wouldn't you? If people knew that there was a possibility of going up a gear, why wouldn't you?
Yeah. And this is why I'm talking to people that, like I said, business owners, founders, executives, people that want that next level of performance that you can't get unless you look after the main asset that controls everything. Because at the end of the day, this is the thing that I touched on, and you've touched on it as well. You just gave it a different analogy, which was, like a car, right? A combustion engine, which is another great way of looking at it. It's not just about chucking fuel into the fire and expecting it to run well. There's loads of other things that go with it. And I like to talk about it like a business, because business owners, executives, founders, we all talk in that language. Now, with your business, you know that a well-performing business has KPIs, has systems, has structure, has processes, has strategy, right? And then we've got loads of business owners, executives, and founders out there that are doing that for their business, but not for their body. And this is what I don't get. What I don't get is you can set up and create as many businesses as you like, but you're only ever going to get one body, and you get this for the rest of your life. And like you said, we're designed to age. So nature is, once your body's finished procreating, that's it. You're on the decline. And I think if people can put the right foundations in place first, then supplements and learning what supplements work the best together. And, we'll go into it in a bit with Xorro, that you've done the work for people to put the right supplements together that will work as long as they're putting it on top of a good system. And I think what you've had is you've seen the benefit of having a good system generally throughout your life, but then also what a good supplement stack on top of a good system can absolutely do. So on that then, what do you think, if we haven't touched on something that you think is worth mentioning, what do you think people most misunderstand about aging? And this could be a general thing, this could be related to females, but what do you think people misunderstand about the whole aging process?
There's a couple of things. First of all, you'd never think it's going to happen to you. You're in that zone where, we've got a bunch of guys who work for us who are absolutely brilliant of various ages, and the youngsters of them, would think that they are the top of their game. They think they're the cleverest, the strongest that they are now, and they can't imagine it going any differently. So I think the first thing is that, not that I want everyone to think, oh my God, I'm getting old, but it would be, if I had to go back to myself, I would say to myself, remember, every day is really important, because it's a finite amount of time. So look after yourself. That doesn't mean don't get drunk and don't have fun. Don't get me wrong. It means, it means value what you have. And I think that's a really important thing about aging. And then the second important thing is that it is a fine balance. Years ago, I've always been a really good sleeper. My mum would say I can sleep almost standing up. And at one point, about 6 years ago, the sleep just dropped off a cliff. So I was literally, and I did that terrible thing, which I will never do again, is watch my sleep, because it just said to me, you are sleeping so badly every night. You're getting an hour's sleep, and it was terrible, and I couldn't get out of it. And everyone was like, oh, relax. It's because you're stressed. I know, because I can't sleep. So I think I managed to get it back. I tried hypnotherapy, no good. It was nothing to it. The thing that got me back was routine. It was making me go to bed exactly the same time every day, getting up regardless at the same time, eating the same thing at the same time, morning and evening, and it was putting that routine back in, and body needs routine. So going back to your question, the important thing about aging is that you need to know it's a fragile balance. And around my age, 54, people either look good or they look, a bit tired. And it's the difference between, you can let it go. You can stop exercising and think, you know what, this is who I am. But it doesn't feel good. So hold on to it, do what you can, exercise and eat, because it's hard to get back. Once you go past I haven't exercised for a while. And I tell you another thing was that, and it's something that Austin taught me, because Austin has always worked out a lot. And in his youth, in his teenage, in his 20s, he worked out a lot. And it means that if he doesn't work out for a period of time, goes on holiday, whatever, or has months of, when you start, because he has exercised in his youth, when you start again, your body remembers. So it's harder to start from nothing. If you can just keep up, a little and often, something and nothing. As long as you can keep that up, it's not so bad.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so if you had to give a definition to longevity, what's your definition of longevity?
I guess, so I don't want to live forever, but I want to be capable. Okay. I want to be capable for a long period of time. So it's not wellness, it's healthiness. So I don't want to just be existing. I want to be, like I said, I want to be at the top of my game for as long as I can. Not, we all will age, whether we take Xorro or exercise or, do all the things that we need to do, we will age. But you don't have to age. You can age slowly. Look at David Attenborough. What a gem.
Wow.
100 years old, he's absolutely on it. So to be cognitive and capable for a long period of time is what I would like to be.
Yeah. No, that I think that's it.
What do you think?
Sorry?
What's your kind of thing on longevity? What's your definition?
So I've thought about this for quite a lot, and actually I've tried to make it really, really simple, which is why my company's tagline is "Live Better, Longer," because it's the most simple way of explaining it. But basically, it's just increasing health span. So what the medical industry focuses on is increasing lifespan, and they'll keep people alive for longer, but not living for longer. And
that's horrible.
And that's where things have gone. Like, we've increased average age expectancy, but disease span has gotten longer because we're basically managing people's diseases. And like you said, we want to be healthy and capable for as long as possible. Now, I'm gonna ask you another question on that, because this is a really interesting one that's come up a few times. So imagine you are exactly as you are right now, right? Cognitively, physically, you're able to do exactly the same things, working in the same business, enjoying life to its fullest capacity as you are now, in the best place that you are. But you're 200 years old. Would you like to die?
I think so. I think I would, because all my friends will be gone. I love.
Interesting.
Life is so rich. Life is so rich because of all the things that are around me now. I love. I'm not a hugely social animal, but I love the social side of what I do, and I love my family. And if I was on my own, that would be an interesting one. So that, but then you see, at the same time, if I feel as good as I do now, how would I die? That's another one. How would I die?
Yeah, right. That's nuts. It's almost like, and I know that this is getting into a woo-woo concept, but like, what if death was a choice?
Logan's Run. That wasn't the same thing, but yeah, a choice, like a cycle. So basically, you choose on this day to die.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Have you got kids?
No, I don't.
Probably should have known that beforehand. So, like, the way I think about it is, like, if I live a lot longer, I'm going to see my great grandkids, my great great grandkids. I'm going to make different and new friends.
That's interesting.
The thing that you have to come to terms with is we all have to deal with death at some point, right? People in our lives are going to die, right? Usually it's people that are older than you, right? And not necessarily people younger than you. That's where it becomes quite difficult. So we always have to deal with death, but the longer you live, the more you have to deal with it.
Yeah. And it's crucifying, isn't it? I mean, not to be too grim about it, but when you lose your loved ones, it's pretty...
Yeah, it's horrible.
Life-defining.
So that's where, you have to come to terms with it. And I'm of the mindset of the more I can stay alive, capable and physically fit and able to look after myself and do the things that an everyday person would be able to do and enjoy life, I'm happy to live as long as possible.
That's interesting. And go traveling and do all those things. Like, as you get older, things become more difficult. And again, I go back to David Attenborough versus, somebody else you can think of my age who isn't that active. There's so much more left. I've got another not quite 40 years if I get it right and do like he did. And he still travels and is active in business and cognitively clear and looks after himself. And that's brilliant. And that's how it should be. And he looks great. I mean, there's no doubt. That's the other thing about aging is it's not all, there's bound to be something about looks because people don't want to be, I don't want to be an old woman, but it is more, that's so just the surface. It is all about feeling good, being active, being able to do the things that you have always done. I want to go sailing. I want to do stuff.
Yeah.
I want to still work out.
Yeah.
When the day I can't lift those weights, then I'll be because my back's gone or my knees hurt or whatever. That would be a sad day.
Yeah, no, exactly that. And I think, yeah, I just think that the world is going to constantly grow and develop, and you're going to get new people around you, new experiences. And as long as you can experience those at the highest capacity, then it's a personal choice. Everyone's different. I would be happy living for as long as possible, and I would love to know my great grandkids like that. That would be phenomenal, and achieve those things that not many people get to experience, because they don't see family that far down the road.
If you're the only person that's living that long, then you're quite unique, aren't you? If you all lived that long, then would be even better. If we all were into longevity and managed to all live longer, then you would just have a much longer life doing the fun things you want to do with all the people you want to do it with.
Yeah, I guess I'm on. So my big mission is obviously to help as many people as possible reclaim as many years of life as they possibly can. That's why, I measure it through my own metric, which is called BioAge Index, and we measure lots of different platforms of aging, bring it all together into one score. But I can't help thinking that I want to show people in myself. I want to show people what's possible, and it's going to take a long time for me to get there, because until I'm 80, 90, 100, right, and I'm one of the fittest, most capable 80, 90, 100-year-olds on the planet, I'm not proving anything yet. I'm still a 42-year-old guy that can be fit and capable, right? So I want to show the world what's possible, as well as fulfill my mission of reclaiming as many years of life as possible. And I feel like the longer I'm alive, the longer I'll be able to attack that mission. So yeah, it's really, really interesting, that concept. But yeah, we'll move on from that. But
it's a great mission to have. I mean, it's brilliant. And just because you're not proving it now. And this is part of the conversation people have with Xorro. They're like, oh, does it really work? Well, we know it works because we know the ingredients, and when you put them together in a meaningful biological way, bioavailable way, we know they work. So it's the same with your concept. If you live life like you're saying, you will live longer and better. It's a fact. So you don't have to prove it. You're just showing people the way. And if we all just took a moment to really think about it, we know that living better, whether it's through exercise and sleep and supplements, will make our life better. It is a fact. And those people who say, well, prove it. Well, it's obvious, right?
Yeah. And you've sort of got me on to something now, which has just twigged in my mind. Something that really frustrates me is you get a lot of people saying, oh, I don't want to live a long life. I want to enjoy my life. You know what they mean when they say enjoy my life? They mean do drugs, have alcohol, go and party late at night, eat what I want to eat crap, right? Is that the definition of enjoying life? Or is it having an amazing time with your family, seeing your family and friends, being able to connect with them on a much, much deeper level, to have amazing experiences in different parts of the world, to be able to have the money to go and do those experiences and share things with the world and actually contribute and add value to people? Because the most selfish thing you can do is to give, right? Because by giving, it gives so much back to you. That's why Tony Robbins says the secret to living is giving. And I truly believe that. So I would say to anyone out there that says, I don't want to live a long life, I want to enjoy my life, define what it actually means, enjoy your life. Because if it means alcohol, drugs, partying, nights out, late nights, and stuff that is going to destroy your health, is that enjoying life, or is it something else?
And that's all about, that's where you come back to the idea of consistency and routine, is that if your routine and your consistency is a level that is good for you. And let's face it, that it is it's almost selfish as well, because it makes you feel good, right? When you exercise and you eat well and you sleep well, you feel good. So having then, a Saturday night out with the girls is fine, or going on holiday with your friends, and eating lots of stuff is fine. It's just that your consistency level, your routine, allows you to be able to do that thing. And it's those folks who say they just can't hold on to that routine. And if they, I guess really, I suppose going back to one of the questions you said earlier, if you could help people, if you really wanted to help people, you would somehow allow them to have the discipline to try a routine for 2 weeks, because the difference is massive once you've got a routine. And then you can enjoy yourself with some alcohol, but don't eat junk all the time, and don't drink every night, and don't go, all that sort of stuff. That's what it is. And if you do that, you won't feel very well anyway. So you can't be that happy.
I'm not standing here saying that I don't drink alcohol and I don't have the occasional late night. What I'm saying is I don't let it wreck my health and routine that I've got built at the moment that helps me feel fantastic. It's the 80-20 rule, right? 80% of the time I'm doing things the way that I know it should be done, right, for my biology. And the other 20% I'm allowing myself to go and socialize, to stay out late, to have a couple drinks, but not let it destroy me. And I'm circling back to what you said about fixing your own sleep. You realize that it wasn't anything like complicated. It was just having a set routine. And that actually touches on my core mechanism within my system, is that it's not just about what you do. Personal trainers and fitness specialists and coaches, health coaches out there will tell you all the things that you've got to do. But actually, how often do they talk about when is the best time for you to do all those things? Because yes, it is about what you do. Like, don't eat processed foods, eat whole foods, right? And train in a certain way to get the right result. But if you're not training at the same time every day, if you're not sleeping at the same time every day, if you're not eating at the same time every day, your system doesn't function in the same way. It's like in business, when staff turn up at the wrong time, when deliveries turn up unexpectedly, when you haven't got the system and the structure there to make your business function properly, it doesn't do very well. It's the same with your body. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. And what was really interesting about you fixing your sleep is that was the moment that you realized that rhythm, routine, and structure make your system work better, right?
Absolutely. And it wasn't easy either. That's the thing, is it's people often talk about what's easy for you, that's what you do. But when it came to that, I was on my knees, I couldn't sleep. So you can imagine me going to bed quite stressed, very stressed, because I knew I wouldn't be able to sleep, and making myself get up knowing that I was exhausted, not lying in, and it was really painful. But I was so desperate, I gave it a really good go, and probably 2-3 weeks in, it just starts to, and again, not a miracle. It's not suddenly, but it is consistency gives you that. You look back and you think, oh yeah, I feel better. I had a little bit of sleep last night. And then I did the wonderful thing of stopping tracking it, and then kept to my routine. And gradually the weeks go by, and then you look back and you think, I'm back. Things are good again. And so you need a little bit of discipline to do that. But when you're desperate, you tend to get that. But it's the same with exercise and, all the things that we talk about, and going, as I say, I think sleep's foundational. I think we have a joke in the family, getting to bed before double figures, because if you can get to bed before double figures, it just allows you to be able to get up at 6:30 or whatever, and you're in a good place. Even if you don't really sleep, it doesn't really matter. Just get into bed, and then of course doesn't always happen. Don't get me wrong, but generally that's the aim. Yeah, and I think that really gives you that grounding.
Yeah, no, definitely, and that goes back to the point. Like, if we're looking at specifically with sleep, if you haven't got that routine dialed in, taking magnesium and glycine and all these other great supplements that you can take in the evening are not going to work. And you sitting there thinking like, oh, I've done magnesium, I've done this, I've done that. It doesn't help my sleep. But are you going to sleep at the same time every day and waking up at the same time every day? Oh yeah, that varies quite a bit. Well, why don't you start with that?
And it's not going to sleep, it's going to bed, isn't it? And like, you go to bed and you may not sleep, but that's eventually that habit is the same. Yeah. And that's what we're trying to do for it. It's all about that routine of and whether it's a routine of having a shower in the morning or whatever it is, your routine really, your body really, and your mind really loves that kind of cuddle of knowing what's going to happen, and they can go and you go through your routine without having to stress. It takes that level of stress away.
Yeah. And that wind down routine is massive for getting your body ready for sleep. This reminds me of something that I researched and listened to with some sleep coaches that were on a podcast. And they said something which was really interesting, which was sleep. You don't make sleep happen. Sleep happens to you, and you can't control when you fall asleep. And the other thing that I found out was lying down, closing your eyes and actively reducing your heart rate, even if you don't fall asleep, has a lot of sleep benefits just by doing that. And just don't get frustrated by it, because I think that's
100% true.
Yeah, I've had so many times where it's taken me a long time to get to sleep consciously, but my devices, my watch and my Whoop, actually thought that I was asleep because my body was systemically in a sleep mode. And you don't have to be asleep consciously to get some of the same benefits. You can't have REM, restorative sleep, without being unconscious because of the way that it is. But you can get other levels of sleep without actually falling asleep, which is very, very interesting. And a lot of people get frustrated when they're still awake.
But that really feeds into my journey, because when I started to get the routine in, I would go to bed, close my eyes, and obviously stress because I wasn't sleeping. But I began to, as I said, I got rid of all my devices, and I began to say to myself, well, I don't know how much sleep I've had, but I know I've been lying down with my eyes closed, and that in itself is a rest. So what you've just said super plays into that. You know, it was enough, because clearly I could not have functioned on 2 hours sleep a night for 5 weeks, whatever it was. I must have had something. And that was my kind of take home. I know you do a lot of metrics. I've gone away from the metrics because I feel like, for me, I'm a stress head as it is. I try not to be, and I don't know if that's a woman thing, right? I mean, women and men are different, but I do think about a lot of things at the same time. Yeah. Or maybe not. I don't think you can think of one thing. I don't think you can think of more than one thing at one time, but in the same moment, I'll be stressing. So it's getting that stress level down.
Yeah, and this is part of the reason why on my system we measure trends and we have a Whoop instead of a watch, because with Whoop there's no screen, you can't see it, and what I do is I get them to fill out a KPI form each week, so they don't have to look at their phone, they don't have to look at their app. All they need to do is once a week go on there and give me the averages. And what that does is it removes the whole daily obsession with looking at your watch the minute that you get up in the morning, you know?
Oh my God, I slept so badly, so I feel really ill.
Yeah, like you look at, I don't want to, like my Garmin is like that. You know, I've got Garmin and Whoop because I'm trying to learn both sides of the platform, and I don't get hung up on daily scores. But I'll look at my watch and it'll be like, oh, I only have a body battery of 60 today. What happened, right? And that can affect some people. Or seeing a sleep score straight away as soon as you get up, you're like, oh no, I'm going to have bad energy today. That's not the case. Like, it's not about the daily stuff. It's about the trends over time. And I think that can give you some really good insights into your overall biology. But what I'd like to sort of touch on with you right now is training and recovery. So what do you do specifically with keeping your strength up, keeping your endurance up, but also recovering properly afterwards? What do you do in that sort of field?
Okay, so our routine is, and Austin's and ours are the same, is that we work out in the morning. Okay. So we do a, I mean, it's changed over the years, and you know, I'm one of these people who definitely looks at different trends. And years ago, we started with a HIIT routine, and that was really that was a 3 weeks the same, and then you changed the next 3 weeks, and that was a real, for me, defining moment where my fitness kicked up another level. Okay, that must have been about 10 years ago. But right now, so what we do is we work out 5 days a week in the morning, and that would be a mixture of either. We do have one yoga thing that we put in every so often, but generally it's about weight do it with weights and with and free movement, so cardio as well. And it's a short period of time. It's typically 20 minutes, and then we always try. And it's funny because I'm 5'4", he's 6'2", so slightly different weights and everything. And we do things like planks. I mean, a little bit competitive with each other when it comes to that sort of thing. 2 years ago, we got up to the 10-minute plank, and that was getting a bit silly. But
wow!
So that's
a 10-minute plank.
Well, I did 9 minutes and 30 seconds and couldn't do it, and I still managed the 10 minute. But
wow!
We do definitely have what do I call it, like goals and phases. We allow our routines to be fun, to have a silliness attached to it like that. And then on the weekend, I try and go for a run. I don't go very far, like a 5K, and that I find is good for my head. And I tend to not exercise, certainly one day a week. And sometimes if I'm late, I will just be a stretch, that sort of thing. I don't tend to do like a long cardio. Although last year we did a off-road bike challenge on the Jurassic Coast, which was what they call an off-road triathlon, where you have a long bike ride, and then you have a canoe, and then you have a long run, and then so we got a bit fit for that. But generally, it's a routine that holds on to every day.
Yeah, no, definitely. How do you manage so you have your one day rest day a week? How do you manage your recovery during the week when you've got that workout every single day?
Well, it's very different every single day, and it's only 20 minutes. And it is sometimes I'm nice to myself, or Austin, depending how we feel about each other. We don't. Certainly Monday's good, Tuesday's fine, and as you get to the end of the week, you're quite tired. There is definitely a moment where you think, well, okay, I'm not sure I'm up for it today. But by the time you've done it, 20 minutes is nothing. By the time you've done it, you feel so much better. And obviously we have Xorro in our routine as well. So that's our morning routine. So recovery is not too bad. And obviously I try and drink. I definitely don't drink enough water in the world. That's just one of my bad things. I'm not someone who walks around with a water bottle. I just can't do it. So that's something I need to really, no, I can't do it. It's really funny, isn't it? I first of all, I can hardly keep my glasses on. I lose those, then I lose the water bottle, and then I'm done. But I do try. We do try and drink water, and I know that's one of those pillars that I should do more. So when it comes to recovery, I'm just a bit nicer to myself. If I don't feel like I really want to do a good workout, there's a phrase, it's like all or something. Just do a bit, just do enough.
Yeah. Do you have any recovery practices like meditation or breathing, or you mentioned yoga? What type of yoga do you use? Any other sort of practices that you use for recovery?
I think it's very basic yoga. I think it's a very basic. We have like a 5-thing routine that we go around 3 or 4 times on. So it's more like stretching. And I used to do a bit of, again,
still a recovery protocol.
And I used to do meditation, always try and do meditation with sleep, but it really irritated me. So I'm not very good at meditation because I'm not quiet enough. But I do. Again, I'm very aware of the mindful side of things because obviously, I've read a lot about it, and I'm very aware of how you need to take a breath in life and how you need to clear your sky of clouds. You sometimes need to have an empty space, which I find incredibly difficult. Austin's better at it than I am, and it may be the main male-female thing. He likes to do tasks, and he will go far deeper into an engineering complex problem than I would. And then and be totally in that problem and nothing else, and then be able to say, I wasn't thinking about anything else. Whereas I would be thinking about all sorts of things, which is more stressy, and I need to manage that. That's probably one of the things I need to manage, or have learnt to manage best.
Yeah. On that then, because you mentioned about men and women, where do you think, in terms of training and recovery, where do you think there is a difference between men and women that you've seen?
Well, it's very funny. So all my life, as I said to you before, as a Brunel graduate, there's 3 of us girls in the year of 80. I've been in the male world all my life, and I'm very happy there. I don't feel negatively or positively disposed for being a woman. I'm quite happy with it. So, but having said that, men and women are very, very different in my experience. Individuals are as well, but you can't treat the same person in the same way. Like when Austin and I work out, we might be doing similar exercises, but he's, as I say, he's taller, he's longer, he's stronger. I'm probably more flexible and have different aspects. So we do train the same but very differently. And I think that men and women have a different disposition. As I said to you before, I think it's for women, particularly as you get older, the stress shows itself in a different way, because we think about lots of things in the same moment. Then you become you have less headroom. You haven't got the ability to spin as you would normally, thinking of different things. And I see that in my friends or my colleagues, that as women get older, they become more either narrow-minded or stressy. And that's because we need, as I say, we think about things in a different way. So I think that and I put exercise in the same category as I would health and wellness, because I feel like your mind, your cognitive ability, your stressing ability is alleviated when you do exercise, and vice versa. If you're really stressed, you'll have a shit workout. So you've got to try and put the two together, but they are very different, but in a good way. And I don't think women have it harder than men. I don't think men have it harder than women. I think it's
different.
I think that we just think of it differently. Yeah. And I think the biggest stress I find is stress.
Yeah. I mean, the foundational pillars in my system are like what you said originally. Sleep is right there on the foundation. So it goes sleep, energy, which is managed with your nutrition and how you do things throughout the day to keep your energy high. Then you have stress, which is really important. Then you have your training, strength and endurance training. So those four things sort of form the foundations. I guess, what would you advise? So if you think stress is the sort of one major drawback for women, it might be a different one for men, right? But if you think stress is a major drawback for women, what piece of advice would you give women that are finding themselves or acknowledge that their stress levels are too high? Where would you start?
Well, it's the funny thing is, I don't think it's more or less important than men. I think it's different. But I would say that the problem with stress is that, okay, the only real way to manage it, from my experience, is to get a hold of it yourself. You can continue to say, I'm very stressed, and help me, can I be stressed? The help comes from within you, and you have to find, and we're going back to the routine, you have to come back to, my father would say, gathering yourself. If the stress is too much, oh my God, I'm doing too many things. Stop, take a breath. You can't do more than one thing at once. Plan it. I've said to you before, my life is one big organized, like 1 week spreadsheet, but plan everything. And things you can't do, don't do. So prioritize. The problem is with us all, and particularly recently over the last few years, everyone talks about how high stress levels are. You make it worse by not planning it, by forgetting things, by taking on too much, being overtaken by events. So I think that stress is a difficult thing to cope with, but it all comes down to planning. You can only do one thing at once. Do those things one at a time in the order of importance, and when you get to the end, you will feel better. And there's that wonderful euphoria of, I've actually, you can always achieve far more than you thought you could achieve if you manage it. But I would also say that stress is important.
Like you just said it again, which was, get the things that you want to do and put them into an order so that they've got a routine, a rhythm, a structure. And that's how we operate better. You've actually reminded me of something which is quite interesting. So women have always been dubbed as great multitaskers, right? What's your view on that, multitasking and that whole concept?
Well, I'm so wise now. I'm 54 years old, but I definitely think that women and men think differently generally. And I think women do, as I say, in the moment, they'll be thinking of lots of things, or not at the same time, because I still really believe you do one thing at once. Like we are that. But you, in that moment, you'll have lots of things I'll be thinking about. Got to go to work, but I've got to get this presentation out, and all that sort of stuff. Whereas men, particularly in the science world or the engineering world that I'm from, will be doing something, and honestly, probably might not even remember to eat. So they have a different mindset. So yes, women think of lots of things. And I think that when you're younger, you can probably cognitively hold on to lots more of that. But we have an excuse that women are so much better because they multitask. You could almost say we do too many things and not enough in depth. So as a man, you might have to learn to do hold on to more things, but in the depth that you do. Don't forget what might be some of the things you might say to a man, oh, I've forgotten to do that. Whereas women will remember to do it and then not do it and then get stressed about it. So it's the same. Organize yourself, put it in priority. And don't do one of Austin's phrases, don't do last in, first out. So don't, just because something comes in the door, deal with it. No, it goes on the list. It has a priority. I mean, of course, not in your daily life, but if you're working and you want to be, as I do, capable for as long as I can, I need to do that. But I need stress. I definitely need stress in my life. I need what is termed as healthy tension in my life.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine being bored.
Absolutely. And the science is very much looks at short, medium and long-term stress. And short-term stress is actually very, very good for us because it teaches our body to adapt. And that's the same principle with exercising, right? That's short-term stress on our body that allows us to adapt. It's great for you. It's fantastic for you. Just like short-term stress in terms of problem solving. But the minute you let that problem sit and become more medium and long-term stress, when things transition into medium and long-term stress, that's when it transpires into inflammation within your body. And there's this thing called inflammaging, which basically ages you quicker than you should. And the interesting thing about what you said about multitasking, where you said you don't really believe that anyone can do more than one thing at once, that's what I found out. So I found out that it's not multitasking, it's task switching. So women tend to be better at switching tasks very, very quickly and from one to the other, whereas men are more like, they focus on that one thing and then move to something else because we're not very good at task switching, right? So,
is it because you go so much deeper? I wonder. Sometimes you go into something single-mindedly into something.
Yeah, I think, and this is me going very, very primal, I think it's how we're wired. Because if you imagine hunter-gatherer, right, the women would stay back with the children, look after wherever it was they were residing or wherever in the wild, right? And they probably have lots of things to think about if they've got multiple offspring or whatever, and they're doing things there. But the men, all they do is they go out, they hunt, they come back, they rest. They go out, they hunt, they come back, they rest. And that was a mechanism for hundreds of thousands of years. And if that's how we evolved, it just means that male, go out, hunt, come back, go out, hunt, come back. That's it. Whereas women might have more things to focus on because they're staying in the one position at home. So their brains are going to have to focus on multiple different things.
Yeah. I think it's an interesting, you can't deny nature. But it's not an excuse or it's not a positive or negative. I think it's a fact. I think that, as I say, I don't think women have it harder or easier than men. There's a big push at the moment that women have it harder than men. I don't know that because I only live my life. I can only live in my shoes. I can't live in somebody else's shoes. But I know that so for instance, if you took myself and Austin, the stress that we have for the business, we both feel the same stress in different ways. And I wouldn't say that he has it easier or harder than I do. It's just different.
Yeah, no, I'm on the same boat. Like, I think we're in a very strange world at the moment where, we've got this whole woke culture that's come into play, and there's different diets now, like vegan, vegetarian, but we were meat eaters for hundreds of thousands of years. And I'm not saying that you have to eat meat. What I'm saying is that it's not about what's right or what's wrong. It's just about what's right for you. At the end of the day, we're all individuals. And if, you're a woman that wants to be a man, or a man that wants to be a woman, or a man or a woman, or whoever you are, right? Do what's right for you, do what makes you happy, and do what gives you the right energy and vitality to be able to live the life that you want to live. And that's what I think is the important thing. No judgment as well. We're not here.
I get it. What's interesting from what you just said also, but there still is a foundation, whoever you are, as long as you're human, I suppose animal, there is a foundation that you don't have to, but there is a foundation that if you follow, you will find that life is more comfortable, hopefully happier. I mean, there's certainly things in everything that you do and us with Xorro that isn't just physical, it's cognitive, and then it covers anxiety and all the things, and they're all so interlinked. And as I said to you before, if you as you do, if you know that having a healthy lifestyle, having a routine, exercising well, supplementing your diet the way you do, if you know that makes you feel better, why wouldn't you? The only thing that stops you is discipline, and discipline comes with is hard at first because you haven't got the results, but once you start getting the results, it's addictive. It's a different place to be. So if you can help folks for dive into the routine, then they will certainly take it up, because it's not a matter of if it works. It's when it works, and the only way it works is consistency. Get on with it and do it, and you will see the results.
Yeah, and what I've found very interesting is that we've talked a little bit about the differences of men and women, but biologically, like, we all need sunlight, we all need sleep at the same time, we all need protein, right? We all need exercise, we all need to strength train, we all need to endurance train. There are so many things that are similar because we are all human and we all function on the same biology. And that's what I find very, very interesting. And it brings me on nicely to talk a little bit why Xorro is great for men and women. And what I'm really trying to get here is sort of why you created Xorro, what it is, and why it's suited for people like us that want something simple that does exactly what they need to do on top of a well-structured routine that you've built into your life. Because I'm just going to put a disclaimer here that Xorro is no good to you if you are not doing the basics, if you're not training at the same time, sleeping at the same time, eating at the same time, and you've got a very good routine. So I'll hand it over to you in terms of Xorro. If you could just give us a bit of a story around it, how you came to it, and why you found it so useful.
Well, it is interesting because as I think I said to you before, I've always been quite healthy. My parents have been like that with me, but I never really thought that you needed to supplement that stuff. One, because I was younger, I didn't think of it, and the health market when I was younger was, as I say, little orange pills that your parents gave you, which you really didn't think did much. And I always wanted to look at things. As I say, I like to feel as good as I can. Even if I have a hangover, I like to go and exercise because I just want to feel better. I don't even like that situation. So I guess that the real start of it was 3 years ago when Austin started looking at, I think he came across, as I said to you before, an article about taurine and was fascinated by it and started reading about it, and then started looking at other things and back to the idea of a combustion engine. It isn't just one thing. And so taurine's a great substance, as is glycine. But hang on, what else should you take? So as a systems engineer, and he deals in lots of engineering, complex engineering systems, he started looking at it in that way. And we started putting together our own stack, which we had already had, vitamin D and things like that were already in there. And then we started putting our own stack together. And about just under 3 years now, we put together the entire stack for Xorro. And these are all what we call foundational elements that you should have in your diet. And they're foundational because, as you say, they're the same for everybody. We all have a heart beating. We all have to sleep at the right time. We have to have water, all that sort of stuff. So these are the foundations of it. We put it together as a group of ingredients that stack together and work together harmoniously as a system. And rather than taking 15 different ingredients, weighing stuff out, my stack drawer was ridiculous. We enjoyed it so much, we decided to put it together so other people could have it. And in doing so, we started on this journey with Xorro. The Xorro is an interesting one because you take it in the morning. Once a day, you can take it in the evening or the morning, one sachet in a little tiny bit of water, like a shot. Shake it up and drink it. You know this, Grant. And you take it once a day, and in there it has all these foundational elements to it. So you don't have to think about the other things you need to take. Now you can take other things on top of it. We talked about you can take creatine on it because that's not in there. And the reason why creatine isn't in there is that it's not. People have different amounts of dose. People take creatine in different doses.
Oh, absolutely.
Male, female,
I get that.
Different sizes. So we don't have that. So you can take other things on top. So Xorro is foundational. You take it once a day, and it has nothing in it other than ingredients. So does it taste nice? I mean, I don't mind it. No, it doesn't taste that nice, but it's a little small coffee shop. This is the size of a double espresso coffee shop, and there's no sweeteners, no taste, no extra tasters, no bulking agents, no capsule shells, literally nothing. So it doesn't look beautiful, doesn't taste brilliant, but it's one and done, and then you've had it. And so we've been taking it now, as I say, just under 3 years, and I haven't had a cold, neither has Austin, in that time. Now, it started off as a bit of a joke as you were a year, and you're like, come on. But here we are. I mean, the cold has swept through our office 3 times now, and we just don't get it. And we're finding the same thing through the group of folks that are taking it as well. So your immunity is obviously affected, which it would be, your resilience to things. If you have a good diet and you take a foundation like Xorro, then you have better immunity, you have better resilience.
Yeah. No,
now there isn't another Xorro, so it's a difficult one. So you have to take Xorro.
Yeah. No, I have to say that one thing that struck me was I've been taking supplements since I became a personal trainer about 20 years ago. And my parents gave me multivitamins and things like that when I was a kid. But really, I've been taking supplements by my own choice for the last 20 years and done a lot of research into them, understand the science of all of it. And like you, I've got flipping tons of it. And one thing I was very impressed by was not the blend. I think the blend is very sophisticated. I would say, yes, it's foundational, but it's foundational in terms of modern research. Because if you go back 15 years, that wouldn't have been foundational. That would have been cutting edge, if that makes sense. And that wasn't the main thing that I was impressed by. It was the forms that it was in, because what a lot of people don't realize is the form and the type of that supplement that you're taking is very, very important. Like, as an example, liposomal types of supplements, which are much more bioavailable than the basic cheaper forms. Because if you go to other companies, not going to mention any here, but go to other types of brands and they use very, very cheap forms of the same supplement. And that's what really stuck out for me. So I've got a very, very advanced morning and evening stack, which I've kept using. However, I have tried Xorro, and it's doable. You shot it, job done. But I've been giving it to my wife for the last 25, 30 days. And, it's just been a very, very good way to get those supplements in, because not a lot of people like taking tablets either. If you were to do that supplement stack in tablets, you're probably going to have to take about 15, 20 tablets maybe. And because
you think about all the capsule shells. So in a capsule, you've got the capsule shell, and the capsule you'll get somewhere in the round of 800 milligrams. So there's sorry, it's not huge. It's about 9.5 grams, but you would have, circa 10 capsule shells. And in the capsule shell, they had to have bulking agents and also agents to stop it from caking together. So, you're right. When we first started doing it, we had this group of, we used to take them out of the capsules and weigh them out eventually, because actually you start feeling really uncomfortable with rattling around with all your different pills. So it is. You're right, and one of the things that we feel really strongly about is that we research. we research the ingredients, but we research the type of ingredients, and we also make the ingredients at source. So we think the liposomal, we actually create that liposomal at source. We don't bring it in from different places. And the key thing is that Xorro is meaningful, so good size doses. Vitamin D we're maxed out on, and I think we should be, and we are, but we're on the very meaningful side. It's not fairy dust, not a little bit of this and a little bit of that. It's proper doses of bioavailable product that works together, so the whole system is as one. And it's this idea is that I wouldn't be without it. I just wouldn't have a day without it, because I don't want to get a cold. I don't want to feel rubbish. I want to make sure that I feel good every day. And most of all, I know that inside me, I'm doing the best I can. I'm taking everything I should to slow that slope down to age slowly. Yeah,
no, absolutely. And I think it's a great product that you developed, and really interested to see where it potentially goes in the future. And all of the details on Xorro will be included in the description of the show. So if you guys want to grab anything, then just feel free to click on the link in the description. So I've got a couple more questions just to round off. Nothing major. Just if anyone listening to this show was to walk, or this episode, sorry, was to walk away with one thing, what would that be?
I think it would be, I think it would probably be do make an effort to do something, routine, eat well, exercise, because although it does take effort at first, it is so rewarding. It makes you, the difference between not doing anything and doing something regularly, consistently, every day is night and day. And if you can get a routine going, then you can add to your routine. You can add these extra bits. But first of all, take that plunge to better yourself. And if you already have, then congratulate yourself, because you're on a great place to be. You're already on a route where you can do the best you can. And isn't it lovely to wake up in the morning?
Yeah,
and feel really good.
I think you're right there. Too many people focus on doing things perfectly rather than consistently. And if you can just do things consistently, it will make a whole world of difference to you than trying to do everything perfectly. And it's less stressful as well, because you don't beat yourself up when you don't do something as good as you want to do it. But the fact that you've gone and done it is the most important thing. So last question, really easy one. If people want to get in contact with you, how would they get in contact with you?
Well, we've got Facebook and Instagram, but the easiest way would be to go onto our website, xorro.store, and there's a contact element there that will come straight through to me. We are really early days with Xorro, so we're running our vanguard at the moment. So this is the trial group. We've got product available, and we're opening it slowly. So right now I'm doing everything personally. So if you send an email there, it'll come straight to me. And that's what you'll probably see as well. That's a little bit different about Xorro is that we're not doing a big campaign of advertising. We are definitely engineering based. So when you read the website, you won't see any beautiful ladies in leotards with extremely white teeth or glossy men. Or it's an engineering led exercise. We have a different way of doing things. We don't do discounts. But what we do is, if you've been with us for a year, and we want people to take this regularly, once you've been with us for a year, then the price drops. So we're doing it a very different way. We're doing it in a very wholesome way. It's not an expensive product. We want people to benefit.
You're trying to promote consistency. So once you've been doing it for a year, you get a bit of money off. You don't get money off straight away. You get money off once you've proven to use it consistently.
Well, I think it is. It's not this whole brand new customers only. You buy it at half price and then suddenly it goes up twice price and you can't be bothered with it. And all these free gifts you get with it and massive shakers. We've just got a very sweet little flask that you shake, and that's what you get. And you stick it in the fridge and you use it every day. And it's not a big deal, but it makes a huge difference. And as I say, 3 years, no flu, no colds. It's nice.
Excellent. Okay. Well, Ali, thank you very much for joining me today. It's been a fantastic conversation. We've talked about so many different things. And I think some of the points that you've made around men and women being different, but different in different ways, not better than each other. I think that's a really good point to lean on. The whole rhythm, routine, and the fact that you can fix so many things by putting things in a schedule and an order. It also massively reduces stress. And, I think you've created a wonderful product with Xorro. And I can't wait to see where that goes and also how we can help people, I guess, live better, longer lives. And that leads me on to how I like to finish every single show, which is thank you to everyone for listening to Longevity Masters in this fantastic episode with Ali. And I'd love to see anyone that you think would benefit from this show. Please share, like, subscribe, anything like that. And always remember to live better, longer. Thank you very much. I'll see you on the next episode.